Namaste, guys. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out here in downtown Denver. Healer's Journey, day 30 of 31. Why am I at downtown Denver right now? Well, this is where it all started for this soul to, how should I put it? To spread my teacher's teachings, my teacher, Grandmaster Chogo Koksui's teachings, throughout the greater Denver metro area. So I want to give you a little backstory of what's going on as to why I'm downtown. So many of you have been following the streams for the past 30 days, every single day for the month of May. We've been in different cities, doing different things, having different experiences. Beth, Namaste. And oh yeah, I gotta upload the meditation for you guys. I just realized I finished the recording and then I left the house to do this, and here we are. So it'll be uploaded later today, I promise. And so when I was living in Jersey City, New Jersey, I was doing real estate, and I was trying to get my foot in the door of doing healing. So I was doing healing, I was getting paid, but it wasn't full time. And this would have been about 2009, 2010. And so I was doing real estate investing. I was learning from a multimillionaire, and it was quite the learning curve. But it was super, super exciting. I loved it. I was grateful for it. We made hundreds of thousands of dollars. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we learned lots of lessons along the way that are invaluable for me, that to this day I still apply in my day-to-day life, my business dealings with people. And it really stretched myself, because I remember at the time of thinking that you could make $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 in a day. I thought that was unheard of, impossible. There's no way. You hear about these stories, but you never actually know those people who have done those things. And then you become one of those people, right? And you're like, whoa, that's amazing. I just made, $30,000 in 1 month just moving paper around, right? So it was great for me. It was a great experience. I had a lot to learn at that time in my life, and there were a lot of inner obstacles and blockages and impediments preventing me from moving my life forward financially. But I'm super, super grateful for those times. So as I was doing the real estate investing, in my heart of hearts, I wanted to be a full-time healer. I was doing healings. I was getting paid for healings, but it wasn't a consistent thing, right? It would come and go. And I was like, why can't I get my foot in the door? I would do expos, get a couple clients from that. I would do this and get a couple clients from that. I would do that and get a couple clients from that. But none of it was consistent. And I said, I don't understand it. I'm here in Jersey City, New Jersey. There's millions of people around here. There's got to be something I'm not seeing, right? So I kept trying, creating flyers, brochures, business cards, going to events, dropping off cards here, dropping off cards there, but nothing was ever clicking. And I go, I'm in the land of there's 2 master Pranic healers within a 20-minute drive. What is going on here? Why can't we make this happen? This is New York and New Jersey. People are stressed out all the time. It should be so easy to develop clients, right? And it's not like I'm asking astronomical prices. This is one of the most prosperous cities in the entire world. What is going on? But again, blockages are within, resistance is within. It's not without. It's not the external, right? But at the time I thought, well, the external world, what's going on? And so when my real estate partnership began to dematerialize in 2011, something told me of, all right, there's got to be another opportunity. There's got to be one door is closing, but maybe a window is opening. And so at that point in time, I got a random phone call from a friend of mine. He goes, hey, what are you up to? Are you around? You want to hang out for the weekend? And he lived in Massachusetts. And so the drive from where I was to Massachusetts was 4 hours or so by car. So I got in the car, hung out with him, spent the weekend with him. And he says, hey, what are your future plans moving forward? I said, well, I'm trying to become a full-time healer. I've been doing the real estate investing thing. It's not working out so well. I'm kind of going to be dissolving my relationship with this partner. And he says, well, my brother is traveling the country right now doing these rock, fossil, and gem shows. And he's looking for some additional help. And it's all cash. It'll be good, right? And I was like, well, I got nothing really going on right now. I got some money in savings. I don't know what my next step is. Sure, why not? So I end up connecting with his brother. He says, yeah, let's do this. And so for about 6 months, we ended up traveling the country, going to these small convention centers throughout the Midwest and a little bit of the California-ish area, but mostly the Midwest and some southeastern areas. We were kind of all over the map, but it was by car. So we would drive to these cities, and we would get there at the latest. We'd get there like Thursday night. We would set up either Thursday night or Friday morning, and then all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we would have these expos, these rock, fossil, and gem shows where families would come in, they pay an administration fee, and then they would like see fossils, they would do different activities, and our activity, my friend who owned the company, was the most popular attraction of all the attractions. It was the sleuths and mining. So people would come to our booth, and we would have like an inflatable cave that kids loved. We would hide stuff throughout the cave, and they would pay an admission fee to go into the cave. They put on a little hard hat with a light, and they would like look for gems and fossils and what have you, and kids loved it. Super jacked up about it. Teeny tiny kids, older kids, it didn't matter. Everyone was jacked up. Then we also had a sleuths where people would buy a bag with dirt in it, but every single bag was guaranteed to have something in it. Rocks, fossils, gemstones, a combination of all three, but they're guaranteed to get something in it, right? So then they would buy the bag, and we would allow them to pan for gemstones, and we have a portable sluice. It was amazing. So we were hands down the most popular attraction at all these convention centers. People would be waiting in line, and we're a bunch of like, younger, charismatic guys that are mixing up and making it happen and making it fun for everyone. So everyone wanted to come and hang out with us. So every time we would go to a city, we would stay there for a couple days, get to know the area, and then we'd work all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then we would break down Monday, and then we would get in the car, in the truck, and then go to the next venue. And we did this all over the country for about 6 months. I mean, I was part of the tour for about 6 months. So then we ended up spending 2 weeks in Denver and 2 weeks in Colorado Springs because of the popularity that people in this area would be open to rocks, fossils, and gems, because panning and mining in gold, right? That's all the stuff that was happening in this part of the country. And the first 2 weeks I was here, I fell in love with the area. Loved it. It was bright, it was sunny, there were athletic people running around everywhere, making it happen. It was beautiful. And I met a couple interesting people that were actually at the fossil place. And then after we were done, we said, hey, let's see if there's a meetup and let's go hiking. Avani at Manamste, a hiking meetup, right? So we ended up doing we ended up meeting people on this meetup, which was great. Meetups were the things where people physically come together and physically interact and physically shake each other's hands and physically hug each other, right? It wasn't virtual and it wasn't masked and all this other stuff. So that happened, and then in that moment, I told my friend, we were sitting at this place called Watercourse in downtown Denver. It's right around the corner, and it's a vegan restaurant, really nice vegan. There's 2 vegan restaurants, City City and Watercourse in downtown Denver. Beautiful places. If you're into cool vegan food and kombucha tea and what have you. So I go, this is it. This is the next chapter of my life, going from New York, New Jersey, and I said, Colorado, this is it. But I didn't have all the money necessary to like move to a new place. So I was like, all right, I need to get some more in savings. So I ended up going back home to Massachusetts, spending 2 months with my father, helping him clean up his place, physically and outside, like physically clean the place and then do lawn care and lawn work and all that stuff, which you have to do constantly in Massachusetts. And then I was filming videos on YouTube. Those were my first pranic healing videos that I put on YouTube like 9 years ago or something like that. And it was just getting the word out. So I would talk about different classes, and Pranic Healing has over 20 different classes on how to use energy to improve your health, your relationships, your finances, your spiritual growth and development, your clairvoyance, your physical environment, your office, your home, all these different things. And so that was my experience of practicing on camera. My dad would like, "What are you doing? I thought you were home to visit and get some money together before you move out to Colorado, but you're in your room 8 to 10 hours a day." And my dad didn't like that. He thought I was just screwing off in my room, but obviously I'm trying to develop some things, get some things going, right? Before I head out to Colorado. So everything was said and done. I uploaded the videos. I got some marketing out, and I said, okay, as soon as I land in Denver, I'm going to hit the ground running, and everything's going to be smooth as butter. I'm going to be from a part-time healer to a full-time healer. It's going to be amazing. I'm not going to have to live off my savings that I have for my real estate ventures, which wasn't considerable. And I get to Denver. I'm staying with a friend who I met on a hiking meetup. So I'm staying at her mother's place, and she's also staying there intermittently on and off, right? And I'm like, now what? Nobody's responding to my YouTube videos. Nobody's knocking at my door saying, I want to hire you for healing. Nobody is saying, hey, do you also offer meditation services so I can learn how to have more inner peace? I'll pay you for it. None of that was happening. And I go, this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. I go, okay. Short term, I can get a server job. Easy peasy. I've done serving before. I'm very personable. I know food. I'm not a foodie, but I know food. I know how to talk to people. I know how to sell. All right, I'm going to get a server job. No problem. Well, I keep applying to one server job, nothing. I apply to another server job, nothing. I apply to another server job, nothing. I apply to another server job, nothing. And I go, what is happening? This doesn't make sense. And the place I'm staying is 30 plus minutes from downtown. So I'm like, this is kind of challenging. So then I'm walking on 16th Street Mall, which is a major mall, a major street in downtown Denver. It's about 20 blocks or so that have shops and restaurants and all these different things, right? So I'm walking and I see this Tibetan store. Shana, namaste. I'm seeing a Tibetan store and I go, I wonder, okay, they sell stuff from Tibet and Nepal, shawls, figurines, books, incense. I wonder if they would be open to having healing services, because pranic healing is part of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So I go, knock, knock, knock. I walk in and I say, hey, I'm new to the area and I want to see if you guys would be open to having a professional energy healer here from this time to this time, Monday through Friday. Would you guys be open to that? And then I'll charge a nominal fee of like $20 for a healing, right? And they go, yeah, that sounds good. And I said, what exchange would you like to have, right? Whatever percentage I bring in, what would you think would be a fair exchange? And they go, no, you can keep everything. And I was like, okay, sweet. So it's a new value add, because people could walk in that are interested in certain deities, pictures, incense, whatever, or crystals, and I could give them the energetic understanding. So I'm like a rep for them, right? And then as I'm explaining these things to them, then we can sit down and we can talk about healing. Hey, what do you need healing on? And they gave me a set place in their retail center where I could do healing on people, where there was a degree of privacy and the person would feel good. And so that's how I started getting it out there. But I would be there for hours and hours and hours, and guess what? They weren't getting a lot of foot traffic. I was like, this is weird, man. This is on the major street in downtown Denver, but not many people are walking in. But those people who did walk in, I'd mix it up with them. I start talking, hey, what are you looking for? Do you know about what kind of energy are you looking to introduce into your life? Prosperity energy, healing energy, spiritual energy, wisdom. What is it? Why are you here? And then that would open up the conversation. I met some very, very interesting people, and I developed contacts with people that lived out of state that became clients of mine for years afterwards. Cool, right? Super, super grateful. So as I'm making it happen, I find a server job. in this very, very well-known chain. It's from a movie that we all know. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to talk about the movie. It goes back to old traumatic experiences. So I ended up working at this place for maybe 4 or 5 months. Now, if you ever want to know, am I in alignment with the divine plan of my life, here's something to be aware of. If things are smooth and easy, you're in alignment. If things are not smooth and easy and they're extraordinarily difficult, you're out of alignment. So the time that I was working at this place was very, very difficult. And funny enough, I became the top salesperson for the company at one point in time for like 2 months in a row, which basically, when people would sit down at this restaurant, there was a Landry's card that these people could purchase, and then they would be put into, they would have access to different bonuses and accumulating points, and they could get discount on meals, and, on their birthday, they would get bonuses and what have you, right? So, but you had to sell that card, and then when you sell that card, it puts you in a certain running where you get bonuses, et cetera, and then you also get, also people are tipping you based on the total cost, right? So they have the cost of their meal, and they buy the card, which increases the tab, and then people will give you, they are tipping you based on that, right? So I became the top salesperson for the company with that card, because I was just good at selling people. I was good at convincing people. I was good at making a good case for why it was a good idea for them to do it. And in spite of that, on average, you're not going to believe me when I say this, but that's okay. You're not supposed to believe me. You're supposed to practice discernment and intelligent evaluation. I was making, on average, for the months that I was there, $35 to $45 a week. This is about 10 years ago, roughly. I was making $35 to $45 a week in the US. So I was making more healing randomly, intermittently throughout the week than I was at this place. Even though I was a top performer, even though there were never complaints, even though I consistently and persistently showed up, because of this type of restaurant, they were only busy when they had a convention in town. And at that time, there weren't a lot of conventions because we're right across from the convention center in downtown Denver. So if there was a convention, thousands of people would come in, and then that would make the week. But when there were no conventions, no foot traffic, no business, nothing was happening. So you would be all ready to go. You'd have one table for your entire shift, and then they would send you home. Or you would go there, be ready to go, and then they go, well, we don't have enough people coming in, because there's nothing on the convention calendar, so we're going to send you home. And they did that over and over again, not just to me, but to other people. In all my years of serving at different places, I've never been so prepared, had such a vast knowledge of the menu, had to follow very specific server protocols, and made so little money. So again, was I in alignment being there? No. Where was I making more and more of my money, more and more of my income to provide for myself? It was through healing. Interesting. But it still wasn't clicking. And then one day, a friend of mine who I was living with, her mother, invited me. She kept inviting me. Go, you gotta go to this dance thing. A static dance. I'm like, I don't know. I went to some ecstatic things with my friend who I moved to Colorado with, but I wasn't in the mood. And I was too anxious and irritated that I wasn't making any money. So I was like, all this poverty consciousness and lack and scarcity was coming up. I don't have time to take off from work. I don't have time to spend $12 to go on some dance thing. But one week, the stars aligned. I happened to have the time, I happened to have the money, and happened to have the desire to go. And I went. And the person I met at this particular event was the love of my life at the time, and it transformed every part of my life from that moment on. Because this person said, okay, you're looking to be a full-time healer. Well, I have a big network. I have transportation. Because at the time I didn't have transportation. It was a rough go. It was definitely a rough go. But within a period of a couple months, I ended up moving out of the place I was living in. I ended up having transportation. I ended up quitting that job and putting more of my focus on healing people. And then little by little by little by little by little, I was building up my network. I was building up people who wanted healing. We were able to produce results for people. Then they started referring, and then it grew and it grew and it grew. And then she said to me, she goes, hey, why don't you do like a meditation or something, right? Like, don't you do group meditations? Didn't you do that in New York and New Jersey and Florida? Why don't you do something in downtown Denver? I go, I didn't even think about that. Well, I used to work at the YMCA in Worcester, Massachusetts in the late 90s, and I was actually their youngest personal trainer in their 85-year history. I was 17 years old as a personal trainer, and I had enough knowledge and enough training that they weren't really supposed to allow me to start training people. You have to be 18 to train people. But I was so good at what I did, and I had people hiring me, paying for me to train them, that it just happened to work out. So I was like, I had a good working relationship with the YMCA. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. So why not, hey, YMCA, downtown Denver, are you guys open to, I don't know, having a meditation class taught once a week for an hour? And the timing was perfect because the old YMCA director was leaving. A new YMCA director was coming in. And guess what? That person was open to new programs where the previous person was not. So I ended up calling up this guy. His name was Nate. I called him up, or I sent him an email, and then he says, let's schedule time to talk. And I called him up and I explained to him, I go, hey, I'm a meditation teacher. I have an hour-long program that we could do where we do some physical exercises, some breathing exercises. We do a meditation to bring about more inner peace, more happiness and joy, and people feel like $1 million after that hour. And you guys don't have to pay me at all. Would you be open to me coming in and doing something like that? And he goes, absolutely. He actually came and got healing, was blown away by the healing. And then for 3 years, we did the Twin Hearts meditation every Sunday. I'm trying to remember the time now. I think it was from 11 to 12 every Sunday, rain, sleet, or shine. Didn't matter how cold it was. Didn't matter how hot it was. Didn't matter what events were taking place, because this is downtown Denver, and especially during the summertime, there's festivals all the time. There's the Pride Parade. There's marathons, bike-a-thons, walk for this cause, walk for that cause. All these different things that are taking place. And so traffic can be unbearable. But no matter what, every single week for years, we would maintain the schedule of doing the Twin Hearts meditation. And we started off with no people. The first 3 weeks or so of me leading the Twin Hearts meditation here, nobody showed up. No members, no people within my social network, no people that I knew within the Denver area that I met at networking events. Nobody showed up. But what did I do? I sat my little butt down, I invoked, I did the full practice, and I blessed the area to bring in people. To bring in people who resonated with Grandmaster Chogo Koksui's teachings, who resonated with the Twin Hearts meditation. And then we would have 2 or 3 people, and then 5 or 6 people, and then we had 10 people, and then 15 people, then 20 people. And we consistently would have 20 to 25 people every single Sunday. And then that went from 1 event per week to 13 events per month. So then we started doing the Lord's Prayer. Then we started doing the Archangel meditation. Then we started doing the full moon meditations. Then we started doing prosperity meditations, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And then we had hundreds and hundreds of people that were coming to our events over the months, right? So 13 events every single month, and we did that for years, and that was not an easy thing to maintain. But guess what? It was smooth. It wasn't easy, but it was smooth. It was buttery. So I was in alignment with what I was supposed to do, right? And it was funny, going to different events and having people know you and go, aren't you that guy that teaches meditation? Aren't you the guy that does that energy work? Aren't you the guy that... I've seen you on social media. I've seen you on Instagram. I've seen you on Facebook. I think I've seen you on YouTube. I've actually been sending your exercises to a friend of mine in another state or in another country. And the evolution of teaching the Twin Hearts meditation at the downtown Denver YMCA was, after meditation, I thought, well, what did I learn when I was in New York and New Jersey? Service. Service, service, service. So how are we going to provide service? Feeding program. Okay. So after meditation, I said, hey guys, we're going to go a block and a half across the street from here. We're going to go to the McDonald's. We're going to buy burgers, and we're going to hand the burgers out to the homeless, who are also a few blocks away. Who's open to that? You can either donate your time, or you can donate your money, or you can donate both. But it's up to you. And I would explain to them, hey, this is for your growth and development. This is you being an instrument of goodwill and the will to do good. It's great to meditate. It's great to have inner peace. It's great to bless the planet. But how else can you physicalize those beautiful divine energies within your system? Through service. So then, little by little, we had 1 or 2 people going to the event or doing the feeding program. Then we would have 12 to 15 people doing the feeding program. Some people would dedicate their time. Some people would dedicate their money. Some people would dedicate both. And we started bringing in lots of income. So we had weeks, sometimes months of money available for the next feeding program and the next feeding program and the next feeding program, that we started then just giving money to the downtown Denver YMCA. This one right here. So think about this from a business standpoint on their end. They have an expert teaching a class who they don't have to pay, that is taking up a time that nothing is on the calendar, and then they're generating income that we then started giving money to the YMCA. So we had money for the feeding program in excess, and then we started having money for what? Hey, let's give money back to the YMCA. So not only are they not paying us, not only are they getting a lot of value for their members, because their members could attend for free, but then we were also paying them income, right? So it was a win-win-win-win-win all the way around for the organization as well as for us. And so this guy was great. He was a cheerleader for Pranic healing. He was a cheerleader for the Twin Hearts meditation. He was a cheerleader for what it was that we stood for, and he would like stuff on social media. We ended up getting an award for how much we had contributed to the downtown Denver YMCA. One of my clients was also a worker here who came regularly to the meditation and was always chatting up the meditation to other people, to other members within the group. And it was a great space. But then something happened. Something changed. Which I won't get into all the details about it. But this particular YMCA director was leaving. Somebody was replacing him. And this person didn't understand the bigger picture. Didn't understand the bigger picture of what the YMCA stands for. Because I've been involved with the YMCA on and off for over 20 years. And I love them as an organization, but organizations are made up of people, and not all people are people of goodwill or the will to do good. So this particular person, we went out, we had lunch, we got to know each other. Okay, Nate is leaving. This person is, taking the reins. Are things going to change? Because people always want to have change, right? Change is, in general, good. As long as it's based in character and based in virtue. So this person ended up saying, yeah, we would love to have you. How can we be of service? How can we add more value? And I gave my recommendations. And right around a month later, we gave a big donation, right? As a group, we gave a big donation to the YMCA, and this person was impressed with that, right? Because they're not paying us. We're offering value, intellectual, energetic value, and we're offering financial value. But then about a year later, around the time that we gave our big donation, almost a year later, we were met with some resistance from this particular person, asking, how come we haven't been donating as much money? Now, something happened where Christian, the meditation teacher, the facilitator of the teachings and the facilitator of the energies, was going through some challenges. Not challenges like financial challenges, not, there were health issues in my family, none of that. I mean, my father did end up leaving his body, but this is, well, I guess you could say it's around the same time. But old tendencies within me were coming to the surface. And the tendencies within me affect the people that I'm facilitating, right? Grandmaster Chola Koksui says, a pranic healing instructor cannot have any major character flaws. Cannot have any major character flaws. Doesn't mean the instructor has to be perfect. Doesn't mean the instructor has to be a holy master. But it does mean that the person has to have some level of mastery in all the different areas of life. Not masterful of all of them, but some level of mastery. So there was an area of lack of mastery in my life, connected to people in the group, connected to my own sexuality, connected to sexual energies, that I've done lots of healing around, lots of awareness around, learning lots of lessons and moving forward. That's no longer who and what I am. But at the time, it ended up causing a tremendous amount of pain for me, for my partner, and for the group at large, right? So again, a pranic healing instructor cannot have any major character flaws. So it was one of my major character flaws. But that being said, during this time, the person was like, how come you're not donating as much money? I said, well, we haven't been getting as much money because there's not as many people that are part of the group, and the money that we have been getting, we're using it for the feeding program, not necessarily using it to the Y. And so this particular person was giving us a hard time, and so I ended up talking to her one more time, and then I sent her a letter also copying her boss on it. Because I thought about it, I go, we've been serving this community for 3 years, right? We've been teaching a meditation. It's been free to the members. We've been doing a feeding program to help alleviate the pain, the sorrow, and suffering of the people within this community. And we're being met with resistance, and we're being met with, well, you need to start giving us more money than you have been giving us. And I'm like, but it's free, right? So she said to me, okay, if you want to continue teaching, to rent out the room, it's going to be about $100 an hour. And I said, so this room is always open. Gabrielle, namaste. I said, this room is always open. It's been open for years. No one's using it, but you want us to pay you $100 an hour to use it, but we're not charging anyone to come to the meditation, and the money that we get from donation, we use it to feed the homeless directly. It's not being used for administration, right? It's being used, we buy the burger, and the burger goes directly to the homeless person that is hungry. So that was when I cut my ties with the downtown Denver YMCA. I'm supremely grateful for the original fitness director who opened up the door for us to be of service to the community. And then another person came in to close that door. Now, granted, could I have been more flexible? Could I have said, yes, we'll pay the $100 an hour? Could I have started charging people to come? Yes, yes, and yes. But it didn't seem right. We no longer seemed welcome as a group. And by the lack of response from the email that I sent to her and to her boss, that was also a telling sale. So it goes back to the point I wanted to say, that when you're in alignment with your purpose and the plan for your life, things flow. But as people change, the energy changes. right? So as people change, the energy changes. So this was no longer a vehicle for us to lead the Twin Hearts meditation and do the feeding program. Now, we continue to do the meditation in a park across the street when the weather was nice for a few months afterwards. And I've consistently done the feeding program for 7 years. There was a 2-month period that I was out of the state doing inner work, my own self-retreat. And then I also spent 6 months out. I haven't been back to Denver for 7 months, but outside of those 2 months and the 7 months, for 7 years, every single week, we did the feeding program. And at the time, I did it with the love of my life, which I am supremely grateful for. I'm grateful for all the support and the kindness and the nurturing and the love that she provided for me, and inspiring me and encouraging me of like, you can do this, right? It's always great to have a cheerleader in your corner. And then as we separated and other girls came in and out of my life, and none of them were for a month, they were all long-term partners, they would also participate in the feeding program. And then there were certain times over those 7 years that I did the feeding program for months by myself. Because what I've most loved about Pranic healing and Arhatic yoga is practical spirituality, right? Practical spirituality. It's like you hear about love, you hear about goodwill and the will to do good, but how do you practice it? You hear about forgiveness, but how do you practice it? You hear about gratitude, but how do you practice it? You hear about growing spiritually, but how do you practice it, right? And so Master Choa says, look, the fastest way to evolve is through service and meditation. So the meditation practice I've nailed down, right? I do it throughout the week. We would do it throughout the 13 times a month. But how can we physicalize it more? Through service. How can we do service? Feeding program, right? There are many, many, many ways to do service. But one of the best ways to do service is through a feeding program. Every major religion and most major spiritual schools around the world talk about feeding programs. Almost without exception. Right? Because you're feeding the physical body of a person, and when you feed the physical body, they no longer have to focus on survival. They can go higher. Does that make sense? As Master Choa Kuksuyi would say, it's hard to meditate on an empty stomach. So it's hard to make people open and receptive to spiritual teachings when their stomachs are gurgling and churgling and wurgling, right? So when you feed people's physical bodies, they're more open and receptive to higher spiritual teachings. So that's what I've always loved about pranic healing. The feeding program started in California over 20 years ago and has been going on throughout the world, and millions and millions and millions of people have been fed because of the seed of our teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuksuyi, saying, you have to feed people. So when I was living in New York and New Jersey, I was part of the Newark, New Jersey feeding program and the New York City feeding program that we did every single week. And then, and we had hundreds of people that were part of that. And then in Denver, I just said, okay, we're doing the Twin Hearts meditation. How can we be of greater service? How can we help other people? How can we move people forward, right? And the thing that people have to realize is we have the assumption that by us giving the burger to the homeless person is the one that is ultimately benefiting. But actually, the person giving is the one who's benefiting even more, because it is in the giving that we receive, right? So when we give, when we share, when we tithe, when we are generous with our resources, that comes back to us many, 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 many times. So we're giving a burger to the homeless person, they're consuming the burger, and their suffering is temporarily alleviated. So their hunger pains have gone away. But the benefit of the person giving it is exponential and permanent because it's for the soul, right? We grow, as Master Choa would say, we grow not by accumulating, we grow by giving. So that's why we want to have that as part of the Sunday meditations, is giving and giving and giving. And it's interesting because I mentioned this before in a couple other streams over the years, that I noticed the people that are prideful and the people that are having the most difficult lives tend to make this more difficult than it has to be. So what do I mean by that? So we would do the meditation, which was free and open to the public, and then at the end we would say, "Hey guys, any of you who want to generate some good karma, financially or otherwise, feel free to give $5, $50, $500, whatever to the feeding program, and or you can come and do service with us, and we can hand out burgers to the homeless." And inevitably, the people that were having the most difficult times in their lives, those were the people that were asking so many questions, and they had so much cynicism about it. They go, well, by feeding the homeless, you're just encouraging more homelessness. By giving money to the homeless, they're not going to use it to take care of themselves. They're going to use it to buy drugs, to buy alcohol, to buy cigarettes, right? So you're not really helping them. And I said, okay, if you were in their situation, what would you want? If you were homeless and hungry, what would you want? Would you want the person to pass you by and give you nothing? Or do you want them to give you $1 or a burger? Well, I would want them to give me something. I go, exactly. Even if you had an addiction and somebody gave you $1 that you could participate in that addiction to temporarily alleviate your suffering, would that be better than suffering with your addiction being unfulfilled? Well, I guess I would probably want somebody to help me out temporarily. Exactly. Because most people aren't going to go above and beyond the call of duty of saying, oh my God, you're homeless and hungry. Let me bring you into my house. Let me clean you up. Let me educate you. Let me find you a job. Let me find you an apartment. And then I can say I've done something good in goodwill, right? So people say, well, I can't, what's $1 going to do, right? They go, what's $1 going to do? What's one burger going to do? But they don't even do that. They don't even give the $1 or the one burger because they go, well, what's the point? Yeah, but it's temporarily alleviating the suffering of that soul, right? And then also an interesting thing was people that would come to the meditation group and they would find out that we were going to McDonald's a block and a half away, getting burgers and then handing those burgers out to the homeless. They go, do you know what McDonald's has in it? All the additives, all the GMO. It's not healthy for these people. These people are sick. And I go, fair enough. I go, what would you recommend otherwise? Well, I mean, we can make nutritious sandwiches, vegan sandwiches, organic this, organic that, right? Whole grains, etc., etc. I go, fair enough. I said, how long is it going to take to make 50 sandwiches like that, 75 sandwiches like that, 100 sandwiches like that? And the person's like, well, it probably would take maybe 3 hours to do that and to wrap it up and then to put it into a cooler, then put it in the car, then drive downtown and then hand that out to people. But they would be getting a much better option. They would be getting much healthier food in their bodies. I said, fair enough. I go, are you going to do that every single week? Rain, sleet, or shine? They go, well, I mean, I could. I go, and so I'm thinking this part in my head. I go, okay, this is your first time coming to the feeding program. And you're already saying that you want to give them the highest quality organic produce possible, right? But this is your first time coming to the feeding program. And you know what I noticed? Without exception, over the 7 years of me participating in the feeding program in Denver with people, the person who says that doesn't come back. The person who says they need organic this, organic that, vegan this, vegan that, those people don't come back. So those people are not being of service. They're not being of service with their time, with their money, with their resources. So again, it's the goodwill in their mind, but it's not the will to do good. Because if you had a choice as a homeless person, would you prefer a physical hamburger that you can eat and alleviate your hunger pangs, or would you prefer somebody to have the intention of giving you a high quality, nutritious sandwich? Do you want the physicalization of the burger, or do you want the intention of the sandwich? Which one? Right? It's obvious. It's the physical thing, the physical burger. So this is something we have to be very, very conscientious of on the path. Yes, it is very important for us to meditate and to do our spiritual practice. It's very important for us to connect. It's very important for us to be aware of the nuanced, subtle energies of the world. But we also have to physicalize. We also have to go from goodwill to the will to do good. So that's what I have always loved about pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. It's like, okay, we want to be of service, and this is how you're of service, right? We want to be of service, and this is how you be of service. Practical spirituality. So it's not a judgment against the people who show up and don't contribute, because it's where they're at. It's their level of understanding. It's their own blind spots, negative pride, etc., etc., etc. But do you understand that? As a mentor of mine has told me, love is always a verb. So someone comes to a meditation and they feel amazing, and then it's like, okay, let's physicalize that love. Let's turn that feeling of love into an action of love, into the verb of love. I can't do it. I gotta go. I got an important meeting. There's a football game starting. Okay, that's fine. We'll be here next week. And those people don't come back. It's the people who humble themselves, who seek to understand, who truly want to move their lives forward, that they go, okay, so I did this they said, do this meditation, I'll feel inner peace. They said, give money to receive money. They said, give service to have more energy. Okay, let me experiment. And those were the people that would come week after week, month after month, year after year, and their lives would be transformed. Humility, awareness, seeking to understand. It's beautiful. But again, you can't save everyone. And our jobs are not to save everyone, right? Right? The great ones are the martyrs. The great ones are the ones that are the saviors of humanity. Us little ordinary folks, we just do what we can. If you got $1, contribute. If you got 5, contribute. If you have more, contribute, right? If you only have an hour a week to give, we're super grateful for it. If you have more time to give, we're super grateful for that. And again, it goes back to the self. We grow not by accumulating, we grow by giving. So when you're giving, who's benefiting? You. We have a tendency to think, by me giving, I'm losing out. By me giving money, I'm losing money. By me giving time, I'm losing time. That's the inaccurate perception of what it is that we're doing. So this is it. For me, in this body, in this time, in this incarnation, coming to the downtown YMCA, teaching the Twin Hearts meditation every Sunday afternoon, and doing the feeding program after that, transformed my life. I went from a person who was struggling to rub 2 nickels together to, I haven't hit my millionaire status yet, but I'm much more comfortable financially and much more prosperous because I followed the simple instructions of my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Koksui. Not a genius. I don't have all the answers. I don't have, But what I do know, I do my best to practice it consistently and persistently over the prolonged period of time. No attachment, and I transform. And I've been able to do that for my clients. I've seen that in co-disciples on the path of pranic healing or Arhatic yoga. But it's like, I remember not only hearing Grandmaster Choa Koksui say this in class, but I remember seeing this in videos. I'm trying to remember if I even read it in some of my notes. But basically, Grandmaster Choa Koksui says, this is a system. Arhatic yoga is a system. And he says, if you change the system, you're on your own. Right? So what's interesting to me, a girlfriend of mine, who I love and respect, who I consider to be relatively developed, I remember her saying, after taking Arhatic yoga and practicing Arhatic yoga for a period of 6 months, her life was improving. And she would ask me the question, she goes, why don't people follow the simple instructions? Why don't people follow the simple instructions? It's so easy. On this day, we do this. We do this, these exercises, these breathing techniques, these meditations. Then the next day, we do these exercises, these breathing exercises, these meditations. And then we do tithing at this time. We do service at this time. Why don't people follow simple instructions? The reason people don't is because of negative pride. Because they think they know better. Right? Because they think they know better. It's like your body's sick and you go to a doctor and the doctor's 20, 30 years of experience says, okay, from my professional training and working with thousands of people in your particular symptoms, this is what it most likely is, and then this is what I would recommend that you do to heal. So then what do we have a tendency to do if we're coming from negative pride? The doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. The doctor doesn't know me. I'm special. My case is specialized. And so then guess what? We continue to stay sick, or we get even worse. Same thing on the spiritual path. We don't feel connected. We feel like we don't have a purpose. We feel spiritually empty. So then we go to people who hopefully have a background in spirituality, in inner peace, happiness, joy, fulfillment. And then they say, okay, do this, this, and this. And then we go, I'm going to try it for a week and then do something else. Not interested. Not realizing that you have to practice it for a period of time. Right? It's kind of like working out at the gym one day, right? And then going, I don't have a super fit, healthy, sexy body. This must not work. Not interested. And then you go on to do something else. Or you don't do it often enough. We did this meditation once a week. Do you need to meditate more than once a week to rapidly grow as a soul? Do you need to do more than 1 hour of service a week to rapidly grow as a soul? Of course. But this is just a stepping stone and a starting block for most people, right? This is the gateway to the higher realms. Meditating once a week. Then you start meditating every single day. Then you start doing advanced meditations every day. Then you start doing what? Service to humanity. You start being an instrument of goodwill and the will to do good. You become an awakened soul. Because here's the thing. Most people get on the spiritual path because of a crisis that's happening in their lives. So it's self-centered. I'm miserable. I want to end my misery. What can help me end my misery? This meditation practice, this healing practice, this spiritual practice, this religion, this personal development program, and then you do it. But then there comes a point in your development that you start to awaken to the needs, wants, and desires of other beings. I remember when I started my spiritual practice many, many years ago, it'll be 22 years ago next week, that I started my spiritual practice, that I meditated only for me. It was all about me, myself, and I. I want to have inner peace. I want to have world peace for me, not necessarily for the world. If the world gets inner peace, great. But it's all about me, myself, and I. Because I had so much inner pain, trauma, anxiety, anger, so much that I was unaware of, that I eventually became more and more aware of. But as you're aware of it, you can heal it and transform, right? So when you're aware of something that makes you maybe not so warm and fuzzy, celebrate that. It's not an opportunity to beat yourself up, right? When you have awareness of the people you've hurt in your life, it's an opportunity to heal and move forward. It's not an opportunity to pity yourself, to shame yourself, to beat yourself up for the next 5 years, right? Because what happened with this meditation group, I beat myself up for a while, right? Because all these people were coming, they were getting fed, they were getting inspired, they were healing their lives, they were healing relationships, they were improving their finances, their lives were moving forward, and then all of a sudden, a nuclear bomb dropped in the center of the group, and then many people were hurt, there was trust broken, There was betrayal, all these like not so pleasant energies. And so I beat myself up about that for a long time, rather than going, hey, I'm still in the process of growing and evolving. I'm not a perfected being. I'm not a perfected soul. I forgive myself. I'm ready, willing, and able to let go and move forward. It took me a long time because I just lacked the awareness. I kept forgiving other people, right? Like, I forgive the people who hurt me. I asked for forgiveness for those people who hurt me. But you know what I wasn't doing? You know what I consistently missed? Self-forgiveness. I kept forgiving other people, and then I would ask them to forgive me, but I didn't forgive myself. So guess what happened? I stayed stuck. This experience tormented me for years because I lacked the awareness of self-forgiveness. But then as soon as I started forgiving myself, I became lighter. I could breathe. I could expand. I could heal deeply, and I could move forward. Right? People have the assumption that in order for them to heal, they need to be perfect. Right? So those of you who want to be professional healers, right? You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be doing your spiritual practices daily. When I was healing people 10 years ago, I wasn't perfect. People got miraculous results. People were able to move their lives forward. But I wasn't perfect. But what did I do? I did my practice regularly, which created enough of a hedge of protection for myself and the people that I was healing and working with that everyone could move forward. So you don't have to be perfect to help another human being transform. Just like Grandmaster Chogo Koksui doesn't say you have to be perfect to be a pranic healing instructor, but you can't have any major character flaws. Surprise, surprise, that's why I wasn't a pranic healing instructor then. Right? I wasn't a pranic healing instructor then because I had major character flaws that through lots of pain, lots of suffering, lots of awareness, lots of understanding, and lots of healing, I was able to move forward. And now, better than ever before. But truth is dynamic, and we're always growing and evolving. So the person I am now is going to change and transform over the next 5 years. And so in 5 years, I'm going to look back on this person at this time and go, he didn't really see that very clearly. He didn't have understanding. Self-forgiveness, self-forgiveness, self-forgiveness. And then my future version continues to move forward. And something I've been aware of a lot lately, especially because I've been traveling, and certain memories have been coming into my awareness, coming back to Denver. There's a lot of hot spots of memories around Denver. I was driving by the old place I used to live in, Belmar, with my ex, and she told me maybe a year and a half after her and I moved out that there was a couple that moved into that place. They got into an argument, and the boyfriend went out the front door and stood in the patio area with a gun, and he shot himself dead. And I go, that's pretty intense. We were doing high-level spiritual practices all the time in that apartment. Her and I separated. She moved out shortly thereafter. And then about a year and a half later, a couple moved in, and a lot of energy got stirred up within them, I'm assuming. And then the person took his life. Do you understand how angry one has to be in order to take your life in rage? Now that rage is going to transfer into the next body that person takes on. Grandmaster Chogo Koksui says, under no circumstances is one to commit suicide. Under no circumstances is one to commit suicide. Right? So, send blessings to that soul and cut the cord, and we move forward. But I realized from one of the master pranic healers said this several years ago, that nostalgia and sentimentality need to be removed in order for the person to progress. right? So we've all had beautiful experiences in our lives that we hold on to. We've all had negative experience in our lives that we hold on to. Both of those need to be let go of. So this has been a really intense practice for me over this past month of letting go of things that no longer serve me. Because I have a tendency that if I'm intimately involved with someone, or I'm a friend with someone, and for some reason it goes south, it's very difficult for me to let go, because I love people, I care about people. I'm not perfect. I piss people off all the time. Not all the time, it's been much less over the years, but I frustrate people, irritate people, just like I get frustrated and irritated with people, but doing what I can, right? So, that being said, I realized through the work of my mentor that because of my lack of self-forgiveness, that's why I haven't been able to let go of people, situations, and environments. Like, I couldn't let go of the downtown Denver Y and all the negative feelings around it because I couldn't forgive myself for what had happened, right? Certain people haven't been able to be released from my auric field because I haven't forgiven myself. Not because I haven't forgiven them, and not because they haven't moved on, because many of them have, but it's because I have not forgiven myself to allow myself to move on. One of the masters in Pranic healing says it's okay to have a little bit of remorse and a little bit of guilt, because it gives you awareness that I need to change so I don't suffer the same way again. But excessive guilt and excessive remorse is not good. It keeps you stuck. It's like your feet are planted in cement and you can't move your life forward. So it's been super healing, me driving around town and, okay, I let go. I let go. I let go. I forgive myself here. I forgive myself here. I forgive myself here. And I can feel like parts of my kidneys releasing, parts of my main releasing, but there's still more work to do. Now, do I need to stay in Denver until all this is resolved? No. I'm going to do the best I can with practicing self-forgiveness, self-love, self-compassion, cutting the cord, closing the chapter of Denver in my life, and moving forward, right? Because I'm all about moving forward. I remember at one of the retreats a couple years ago, the spiritual vacation in Bovina, New York, with two of the master pranic healers, the whole theme of the retreat was moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. So if you're nostalgic and sentimental about the past, you're stuck in the past and you can't move forward, right? And thinking about the dynamic of when this meditation group started, I was with the love of my life, who supported me unconditionally, who would attend the meditations, who would donate, who would do service, who would be an example for other people in the group, who learned pranic healing, who learned Arhatic yoga, right? Who became better at what she did. So it was like a dream come true. A dream come true of all the things that happened with my time of moving here to Denver in the 3+ years of running this group. Alignment, right? Alignment. But, you know, things come to the surface. But also, it's good that things come to the surface, because as things come to the surface, guess what you have the opportunity to do? Remove them. Right? We have seeds that we've either had planted in us in this lifetime or previous lifetimes, or seeds that we've planted through under our own volition, this lifetime or previous lifetimes, and those seeds have to be worked out. So we can work them out through what? Suffering. I don't recommend that. Or we work them out through our own will to transform. Like, all right, I know I have anger issues, I'm going to work on them. Right? You're like, I have anger issues, I'm going to work on them. I have impatient issues, I'm going to work on them. I have low self-esteem issues, I'm going to work on them. I have negative pride issues, I'm going to work on them. I have poverty consciousness issues, I'm going to work on them. Or what most people do, they have the seed within them and then that seed gets fertilized, it grows, and then it attracts a person, a circumstance, an environment to cause the materialization of that. Then there's suffering. And most people don't learn the lesson. And so you have this blossomed seed within you that's continuing to radiate a certain quality of vibration that attracts more people, more environments, more situations to match that. So if you have low self-esteem within you and you don't resolve it, you don't work on it, then you're going to keep getting opportunities of, wow, that person really attacked my low self-esteem. Wow, losing my job really dropped my self-esteem. This, and this. And it will materialize differently for different people. Some people have no self-esteem connected to their job. They have their self-esteem connected to their family. So their family will be the channel, right? Other people, their job is everything that they know themselves to be. So when things are not, so if they have low self-esteem that they have to work through, it's going to materialize to their job. So they're going to lose their job. There's going to be a lesser qualified person getting promoted over them. So it's making them go, I'm no good. I'm worthless. I'm useless. No one appreciates me. So you're experiencing low self-esteem, right? As I have lovingly said to people over the years, the lords of karma will beat you to your knees. The more prideful you are, the stick gets bigger and heavier and faster. And the lords of karma will beat you to your knees. You cannot outsmart them. God knows I've tried. You can't outsmart them. So if you have a lesson to learn, you will either learn it through life or you'll learn it through your own awareness and inner work. Heal it and move forward. So I am supremely grateful of moving to Denver. Basically 9 years ago. Supremely grateful. It has made me into a soul that I only envisioned in just the faintest of ways. I didn't know I would be the person I've become. Was it all cupcakes, rainbows, and ding-dongs? Of course not. But you know the weird thing is, in spite of all the squirreliness, all the ups and downs, pranic healing, Arhatic yoga, and the energies of my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, have always been in the background. Always. Right? Always. Always been in the background. I've always thought that I've been doing pranic healing and Arhatic yoga for 17 years. And I think to myself, I go, everything in my life has been up and down. Relationships, finances, health, living situations. Everything in my life has been up and down over the past 17 years. But you know what's always been there? The teacher and the teachings. Right? It's like gravity. Whether you're happy or sad, gravity is influencing you. Whether you're rich or poor, gravity is influencing you. Whether you're well or you're sick, gravity is still influencing you. But it's how you harness gravity that makes all the difference. So the teacher is always there. The teachings are always there. But it's how you utilize and harness those energies to improve the quality of your life. So this is a chapter that I mostly closed when I moved to Kalispell, Montana 7 months ago. But coming back, I still realize there's a few doors. Beth says, thanks for being so open about your life lesson experience and sharing them. You're welcome, Beth. Hope you got value out of it. When did you like sunflowers? Is this a new thing? But I realized that there were still some doors that had to be closed. And there still might be even more doors that have to be closed when I leave here, because this was my home for 8 years. Right? This was my home for 8 years. It's like I built up a large network. I had lots of friends. I had lots of clients that were local. Now all of my clients are distant. Right? I was in a loving relationship. I had really cool experiences. I went out and I did things when I never went out and did things before. So it's like, it's that bittersweet, right? The bittersweet energy, and that's the sentimentality, and that's the nostalgia that has to be purged, grateful for it, let go, and move forward. I was going to do this outside, but as you guys can tell, it's raining. It's raining. It's fitting. My, what's up, runners? Yeah, that person's in a wheelchair and they're doing that. That's pretty cool. So tomorrow, I get on a jet plane, and I head out. I'll probably do the final stream from that location in the afternoon. I'm arriving at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll be there in that area for 4 hours, then heading to my ultimate destination by car or by Jeep, depending. Dun, 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 dun. And I am supremely, supremely grateful for this experience. I still have to make my notes and everything like that, of the good things and not so good things that happened over the past 31 days of traveling around the Pacific Northwest. We've done over, as I look at it right now, done over 4,900 miles. You guys hear what I said? Over 4,900 miles on the car. So it will almost be 5,000 by the time I drop off the car in the morning before my flight. So lots of love to each and every one of you. For those of you who need healing, feel free to reach out to me. Obviously, I'm doing healing on the road, and when I go to my end destination tomorrow, I'll be settled in for the next 2 months. Doing healings like it's my J.O., because it is. And thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to process. Gemini's process verbally. We just need a sounding board, and as we're talking and communicating, little pockets of light are going off in our consciousness. Like, oh yeah, that's right. So I could just like stare at the camera with not even being live and just talk to the camera. What's up, MrGreen.com? Hopefully you catch the rest of this. So for those of you who are catching the middle or the end of the stream, hopefully you can go back, watch it when you got some more time, get some nuggets out of it. But this is some of the life experiences of this soul. And I've done my best to have a varied life. Lots of experiences, because I came here to mix it up, came here to have fun, came here to play in all the realms, the lower, the middle, and the higher realms. And so far it's been super, super interesting. And I'm looking forward to the next 40 plus years of growth and evolution. So again, for those of you who need healing, go to christianarlong.com. It's my name. It's my website. It's how you find me. I just realized I have to call my mom later today. Mom, I got to call you, let you know what's up. She's like, call me when you're on your trip. I called her once in this past month of being on my trip, so I'm going to call her again. Where are you now? Back in Denver area. Oh, where are you going to next? I'll let you know later. So, love you guys very, very much. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant. Oh, I think you should do a daily Words of Wisdom or Christian's Nugget. Ooh. People could take that so many different ways. Christian's Nuggets. Christian's Nuggets. Haha, nuggets. You guys know that that's a nugget is a form of development of a child, right? So when a child is born, the child is called a peanut. And then when the child gets to be 2 years old, it's a nugget. And it's a nugget for about 1.5 years. And then it turns into a rascal. And then it turns into a punk. So nuggets are my favorite stages. I love peanuts. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about peanuts. Bring on the peanuts. You can carry them like little tiny footballs. But nuggets are the best because they're like confident for no reason. They're super tiny. They can barely talk. All they know is the word yes and no. But they're super confident. They're really bossy. They like to push things around. You ever notice nuggets like to push things? My son used to do it all the time. We would get his little cart out. He had a cart and he had a car. And he would just get behind him, put his head down, and just push. Not paying attention to his environment. not paying attention to anyone around him, just pushing. So there's something I love about toddlers. I think they're the funniest human beings on the planet. They're not very coordinated, but they are the most overly confident beings on the planet. They're horrible at communicating. They stumble around, they slur their speech. They can't eat properly, they can't drink properly. Their little tiny hands can barely hold anything. They're the funniest things. So nuggets, Christian's nuggets would be, to me, would be like Christian's babies, Christian's toddlers. Like, that's how I see it. God, they're ridiculous. I saw a couple of toddlers yesterday. I'm trying to remember where I was. But they're all the same. They're all over the place. My son was hysterical. Super funny. I remember holding him down and tickling him. He would have his diaper on, and he'd be running around the house, and then I would grab him, and then I would hold him down and tickle him, and then he would say, "No mo, Daddy, no mo." And he would put his hand on my mouth. I don't know. I think because I tickled them with my mouth. You know, you like blow on their belly or you blow on their neck and they get all worked up. So I would like pretend I'm going to do something to him, and then he would like laugh a little bit, and then he would put his hand on my mouth and he would say, "No mo, Daddy." God, it was so funny. But yes, Beth, that's an excellent idea. Words of wisdom or Christian's nuggets. Nah, chicken nuggets. Which, those are at the McDonald's a block and a half away. chickennuggets.com. So I love you guys very much. Thank you for listening. We ran over a little bit, but like I said, the Healer's Journey streams are anywhere from 5 minutes to 5 hours, whatever. All that in a bag of chips. You get value, great. You don't get value, that's okay too. Love you guys. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma, namaste. Get it, Adriana. You still didn't say that properly. Bye, guys.